picking on that point, sorry, the reference to 1984, do you sense that this idea of Emmanuel Goldstein as this sort of figure of hate and this rather stereotyped caricature figure, I don't know what sort of climate that book would have been launched into, whether it's seen as almost underlining the ways in which Jews were misrepresented and stereotyped, or whether there was any aspect of contention to it. It seems quite perturbing, actually, isn't it, for Orwell to have used such an extreme caricature, albeit in a satire, at that particular point in time, in the late 40s. I don't know whether it's a feeling of debate about that in its reception, particularly in Israel and beyond.
1984 was first translated into Hebrew in 1950. There was a lot of involvement also of British and American propagandists in making sure that 1984 and Animal Farm get translated and published in many, many countries around the world. In the case of Israel, it was they didn't have to encourage anyone. Both Animal Farm, that was translated 2 years later, were translated. They were retranslated again, both later. 1984, since the late 1960s, has gone through more than 30 reprints in Israel. Both books have been in the curriculum for the study of literature. I think that more questionable than, I think that very much in the Cold War context, that identification of Emmanuel Goldstein was with Trotsky. And I think that's something that everybody thought about. The interesting thing is that if there's one book where Orwell uses reports, negative stereotyping from others, it's Down and Out in Paris and London, and especially in the Paris scenes. That book was translated into Hebrew also in the 1980s, and I found, doing a bit of research for the introduction to the translation of essays, I found no one really concerned about it. In fact, the only discussion of Orwell's attitude to Jews and here and there anti-Semitic writing or remarks, which I came across in Israel, was quoting things published in the British press in 2003, 2004, and a few biographers who focused on it a bit more. I think that sometimes, although it might look surprising, Israelis are much less sensitive to anti-Semitic stereotyping in European or any foreign literature because it looks more detached in the sense that perhaps Jews in Britain or France would be more sensitive. But that's just a personal observation which could have no currency with just my own thought.